Coming from a former hothead, it is still difficult in the moment, but I found if I take a few moments to gather myself, it gives me time to recognize the secondary emotion, the one that underlies under the primary angry moment. And when I do, I genuinely feel better knowing how far I've come. Y'all, welcome back. If you're new here, subscribe. If you're not, what's up? I'm HDDJ, and today's how to, if you will, is gonna be how I manage my emotions. It took me a long time to come to this point, but I think I got it down pretty good and it feels good. I feel the initial feeling and then I ask myself, is this how I really feel? Is this really it? At first I would always feel anger, but then I learned to ask myself, are you really angry? Or is it something else? And most times it's like betrayal or something. Is prime example that I thought of today. That's why I'm pretty glad the first video that I recorded didn't work out, because this is the best example. Crimes of passion. A husband and wife cheats, and the husband or wife unalives the wife or husband and the affair partner or whatever. They were angry, but the feeling that they were feeling was betrayal, a strong sense of betrayal. Like you've given your all, your whole life to someone, and they took it for granted. Instead of them recognizing the betrayal, they recognized the anger. And that's oftentimes how that happens. It's hard for people to acknowledge or control that emotion or aspect, part of themselves in that moment. So what I try to do is, so I don't be like that, is feel that secondary emotion. At first you may be angry, but you may be only angry because someone did something to make you sad, or someone did something to betray you, but you have to feel the secondary, the underlying emotion that's under the anger. And what I do next, moving right along, I recognize the secondary emotion, and I try to come totally to grips with it. Like, okay, I know I'm not really angry. I may be sad somebody did this, or upset that they said something like this, or feel betrayed because they may have did a certain thing. But I recognize that I really sit with that and say, okay, this is how I feel. This is how they made me feel. That way, it doesn't turn into something that it, like doesn't need to be. So, secondly, that's what I do. Then third, I seek to understand. After I recognize that feeling, that betrayal feeling, I try to ask myself, why do I feel this way? Like, why did this person or why did this situation have this much power or this much influence over me? I know some things are like principal things, but why did this situation have so much influence, so much power over me to where I had to feel a certain way, act a certain way? What really was it? What is really the underlying cause? What is really the underlying root? Yeah, your significant other may betray you or abandon you, but I try to dig even deeper, like, what was the initial form of betrayment that got me so like wound up on betrayal? Because other people that it has like never happened to in like early childhood or something, they might not see it as deeply as others may see it. So in this step, it's probably the hardest one. That's why people have like the most time the most difficult time with it, dealing with things like this, because early on people can treat us in some of the most dangerous, vile ways when we didn't deserve it. They can do, people can be some nasty humans. People can just do the worst to us, even in our earliest of years. And sometimes we may put a block on it, like try to block it out, but it's still like that, like a deep down feeling. And it could be anything, sexual abuse, any kind of form of betrayal or abandonment, anything that just shaped anything that really influenced our formative years, that shaped us into the person that we are today, basically. But I try to understand where that came from, what that initial feeling was, what that initial moment was, what that initial, that first time or space or moment was. And I do my best to get past that. So if something like this comes up again, it's like not super hard for me to deal with, because people will, and people, I don't even believe, I'm going to be totally honest here. I don't even believe that people can misuse you. I adopted the mindset that people can't misuse me, because I just have that much to give. If you drop the ball on a favor I did for you, then that's just you. I did it from the kindness of my heart. That's it, plain and simple. I did it from the kindness of my heart. If you've done something with any sort of malicious intent to try to get over on me or pull one or think, yeah, I got this out of him. You didn't. I really did it out of the kindness of my heart, because if I didn't want to, I wouldn't do it. And I've really adopted that mindset, and that has, I want to say, gotten me a lot further than a space that I used to be in. Not saying that I'll just let somebody like totally take advantage of me, because if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. If I don't want to help you, I'm not going to help you. If I don't, I'm not going to say if I don't want to, but if I don't see it fit for me to help you, I'm probably not going to do it. And that's only to save me space, for me to save space for myself. But back to understanding, understanding these early emotions and these early things that may have played a pivotal role in our early lives. It may be hard for a lot of people. It is. I ain't gonna say maybe. It is hard for a lot of people. I know it was especially hard for me, dealing with, stuff like abandonment and betrayal, stuff like that, and not feeling safe at certain times. It was really hard for me to sit down and say, okay, this made me feel like this, and now every time I see this same situation or I feel this same feeling come up, I act out of anger. But that was not serving me, so I had to find a way to get rid of it. And like in probably every video that I'm gonna make, when I was doing a lot of deep meditations or in a very transformative space, I feel like I was getting ready for every test that was coming my way, because this year 2024 has been a really rough year. I think a lot of the things, though, if I wouldn't have did that work, I wouldn't have been able to have pulled through it as seamlessly as I have so far, with the talks of divorce and me just thinking like, damn, I'm gonna lose everything that I've worked my basically whole adult life for. Full disclaimer, when you want to go in to understand and really see why you may act like a certain way or feel a certain way to a certain thing you have to deal up with, and you have to deal with a certain situation from your past. It doesn't even have to be like early childhood, nothing crazy. It could be like early adult years or later adult years. If you're a older person, you just have to hold space for yourself and remember you didn't deserve how that situation treated you or how that situation presented itself to you. You didn't deserve that. That's the most important thing. We have to remember that we didn't deserve that. You didn't deserve for that person to leave you out in the cold or treat you the way that they treated you. That's what we have to remember. And also, lastly, the last point I want to make, we have to remember that we are in control. You are in control. Me just knowing this, I know I am in control. I am in control of how I feel. Someone they can do anything they want, but you can't make me feel a certain way. Yeah, you can say something, do something, but ultimately I have control over how I feel. Yes, you can do some egregious things, some dangerous things, some unspeakable things, some untrustworthy or betraying things, just things in general that we don't like. But at the end of the day gotta end. No, I'm just bullshitting. But at the end of the day, we have control of how we feel. That's the most important. That is the most important point. We have control over how we feel, how we think. Not anyone else saying or doing anything, We have control. You have control of your life, your feelings, your emotions, your presence, your place, the space that you want to be in. You have control over that. Never forget it.